All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So my name is Rani Pramesti. I'm the program producer of the Victorian Independent Producers Initiative. I am a person in their early 30s. I'm wearing a fabulous magenta woolen jumper and a white scarf and humongous black headphones today. I want to begin by acknowledging the country that I'm zooming in from today in my mother tongue of Bahasa Indonesia. So, pertama-tama saya ingin mengucapkan rasa hormat saya kepada Tuan Tanah Negeri ini, terutama kepada bangsa Kulin. So firstly, I just want to begin by acknowledging that I am on Kulin country and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. We'll start off with a few housekeeping things. So just a few Zoom protocols to make sure that we're all on the same page with how to use this technology. So you'll notice that you are all on mute. That really helps the people who are speaking for clarity. So please keep yourself on mute throughout the session unless you are asking a question, which we have time for towards the end of this session. You can also change your view. You can also change your view in the top right-hand corner from gallery view to speaker view. So if you want the speaker view, that means that whoever is speaking, the largest image will be the speaker instead of having to see more than 40 faces staring at you. We will not be using the chat box today for equitable access because we are aware that some people are not able to participate in a conversation in the chat box at the same time as taking in information in this way. So please take note of the questions that you might have throughout the session, and we will address your questions towards the end of the session. Another Zoom thing is in the bottom right corner, you have a reactions button where I'll just test it for myself now. You can clap if you're into something. You can also do a thumbs up like that. We might ask you questions throughout and you can put a thumbs up to let us know that you've heard us. If your connection is weak, it sometimes helps to switch off your video. Otherwise, you can also try logging back out and then logging back in. And finally, we'll also be sending out the slides that I'll be showing today after the session and publishing them on the website. So please don't feel like you have to note down everything that we're saying today. Finally, just a note about Zoom bombings. Some of you might have heard about Zoom bombings, which is where an uninvited person attends the session and behaves inappropriately. If that happens, we will end the session immediately and we'll email out a new link to the people that we know are actually here for the info session instead of, trying to cause a ruckus. So yeah, next up, I do just want to introduce our Auslan interpreters today, which is Susan Emerson and Kylie Clear. Where are you, Kylie? So if you need Auslan interpreting, what you can do is to click on their screen and pin the video so that you can see them clearly throughout the session. Okay, sorry, I'm still admitting a few last people here. Great, so let me see here. Any questions about any of the Zoom protocols? And you can unmute yourself and say something if you have any questions. I think everyone is okay. Great, I've got lots of thumbs up. Thank you very much. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share my screen so you can see the PowerPoint for today. Bear with me here. Can everyone see my... Yep, can I just get some thumbs ups if you can see? Yep, great. So just a quick description. What I've got on the screen is a PowerPoint slide with a blue banner at the top that says Victorian Independent Producers Initiative, or Vipi, and then TNA info session, and my name and email address, which is rani@tna.org.au. So the structure for today is, we've done quite a bit of this, which is the housekeeping things. And I will pass it on soon to our Executive Director at TNA, Nicole Bayer, to do an introduction to TNA and the work that we do. And then I will share about the consultation process that we did in May last month with more than 30 independent producers I will share a bit about the process as well as the top-level findings. And then we will have a 5-minute break, followed by I will share the information about round 2 of the Vipi Producers Mentorship Program model. And then we will have another 5-minute break because it's a lot of information in each segment. And then we'll finish up with a quick website orientation of where you can find things if you were interested in reading up more or applying for the program. And we will set aside 15 to 20 minutes towards the end for Q&A with all of you today. Okay, so I'll hand over now to Nicole Bayer, our Executive Director at TNA. Take it away, Nicole.
Thank you, Rani. I am sitting in my lounge room, but all you can see is a white background, and you can see my glasses, and I've got very big arts administrator earrings, and I'm a woman in my very late 40s. Okay, so Theatre Network Australia is an organisation that works on behalf of all performing arts. So we're more than theatre. We service theatre, dance, circus and physical theatre, cabaret, burlesque, comedy, lots of different art forms in the performing arts, also music theatre, that sort of thing. We are a national organisation. We're based in Victoria, and we have what is described as a T model, and I'm holding my hand up, one hand flat and the other hand up in a T, because that perfectly describes the model that we use. The top of the T, the bar of the T, is the national work, research, advocacy, communications and gatherings in every state and territory every 2 years at least, as well as a national gathering every 2 years. And then the stem of the T is the deep program of work that we do in Victoria, which is funded by Creative Victoria. Victorian members, company members, pay more than members in regional Victoria or interstate. So our membership model is also based on that national organisation model, that T model. Our goals are to strengthen artists and arts organisations, to strengthen the whole performing arts sector, and also to strengthen our membership and internally our organisation. And you can read more about our strategic plan on the website. Our whole new strategic plan for 2020 to 2024 is on our website. Rani wanted me to explain a little bit the COVID work that we're doing, the work we're doing in response to COVID. So as you will know, that the shutdowns in response to COVID have really affected the arts sector very, very dramatically. We are the second most affected sector in terms of jobs after accommodation and hospitality. So that means that our job at TNA has expanded exponentially in these last few months, with advocacy, but also information to members, trying to distill the huge amount of information that is out there. And we also, as a team, we came up with the Crisis Cash campaign, where we are still seeking donations so that we can provide 1,000 artists who are in crisis with $1,000. That's ongoing. Please have a look at that if you are one of those people. The sorts of programs we deliver are professional development, advocacy, as I said, research. We do a biennial survey for small to medium companies, but we've also introduced one to independent artists about their career opportunities and conditions, and we're doing a new one of those this year. We're doing a lot of work in safe theatres, which of course now has expanded to include not safety in terms of addressing sexual harassment, but also safety in terms of COVID. That will be a big part of our work going forward. And then Vipi, which Rani will tell you more about. But in terms of how Vipi fits into TNA, it's really important to note that the sector is changing and is no longer based on lots of funded companies. There's a lot of independent artists and groups. And in fact, we have looked at festivals, for example, and more than 50% of the programming in festivals and at venues is by independents. So we recognise that that is a part of the sector that needs more support, and independent producing is one way that independent artists can get that support, and hence Vipi fits very much into our approach of supporting the independent sector. And the last line there is, we are a member organisation and we love independent artists. We, as I said, the whole sector is based on the work of independent artists, but we also recognise that it's a very vulnerable sector, and so probably more than half of our work focuses on that. That's it from me. Back to you, Rani.
Thanks so much, Nicole. I'm just going to keep checking. Sorry, if every now and then if I pause, it's because I'm just letting people in. Thanks for bearing with me on that. Great. Thank you so much, Nicole, for that intro. So I'll just move on to giving a bit of insight into the consultation we did, specifically with Victorian-based independent producers in May. So throughout May, TNA led a consultation with more than 30 Victorian-based independent producers, and that was specifically to inform the design of round 2 of the Producers Mentorship Program. So this consultation, as Nicole mentioned, was done in light of how COVID-19 has reshaped the art sector locally, nationally, and also globally. And the hypothesis that we had in our minds was that the model needed to shift in response to how independent producing practice has been affected by COVID-19. We consulted with all the 4 target groups that are a priority for Vipi engagements. So that's First Peoples, culturally and linguistically diverse peoples or people of color, people living with disability, and people based regionally, as well as independent producers who don't identify from those 4 target groups, but who have extensive independent producing experience. Now, as you can see in the slide there, everyone was asked the same 3 questions. So firstly, how has COVID-19 impacted your independent producing practice? Secondly, how can this inform the mentorship program moving forward? And then finally, we reviewed the Vipi program objectives. So I'll just share some of the top level findings. Actually, before I do that, I do just want to thank everyone who set aside their time and energy to speak with us. I just want to acknowledge that it took emotional labor for people to share what they did. People often shared really vulnerable experiences, both professionally as well as personally. And then I also just want to acknowledge the mental labor and the preparation that some individuals and groups went into in sharing their ideas, their observations, and their proposals with us. So what became really clear throughout the consultation was the obvious investment that so many of you have in the success and also in the relevance of this program to the situations that you're in. If you are an independent producer that we did not consult with, please know that we absolutely value your feedback and input. We simply had to make decisions in terms of the scope of the consultation in order to make it realistic and achievable with the time, energy, and resources that we have access to. So thanks for your understanding on that front. And also, I am still available for future conversations if you want to give me your insights and feedback as well. So I'll just move on to the top level findings. So across the board, from emerging to very experienced independent producers, all the producers that we spoke to have had significant amounts of work canceled or postponed. And people used quite strong and emotive language to describe what they have experienced. So people said that it's been devastating, that their independent producing practice has been decimated, that it has been profoundly impacted, collapsed, or finding that this experience of being under COVID-19 lockdown really disabling were some of the words that people used. Some producers are finding alternative sources of income. So for example, from hosting webinars, one-on-one consultations, and also work that's not related to independent producing, and work that's not related to servicing independent artists. The work that has been done with independent artists has focused on considering moving the artist's practice online, if that was relevant or of interest, focusing on development, focusing on planning, and or shifting to locally engaged work. Some emerging / mid-career producers were saying how they're adapting quickly to the use of technology. And in fact, some of them are finding that they are being consulted for these skill sets. In addition to the crisis, some producers are also seeing COVID-19 as an opportunity to revision, to reimagine, to rebuild, and to remodel what it means to be an independent producer. On a more professional as well as personal front, many producers spoke about the impact of COVID-19 on their mental health and the mental health of the artists that they are supporting. And finally, many disabled producers spoke about the need to put health and access front and center with future program planning, design, and delivery, including removing barriers for disabled producing mentors. I'll just double check if anyone else is waiting to come in. No, we're good. Great. So that was some of the top level findings. I'll now move on to the feedback that people gave us about the previous model, which was much more focused on one-on-one mentorship. So many producers questioned whether that previous model, which sees an emerging producer working closely with or shadowing an experienced producer, many producers questioned whether this was still relevant or even possible, given the profound impact that COVID-19 has had on established producers' practices and on their business models. That being said, many producers liked the bespoke nature or the one-on-one or small group relationships that the previous model offered. At the same time, we received some critical feedback about the previous model. So some producers were critical about the power dynamics within the previous model. So an obvious example might be that there were many more people who put up their hands to be mentees compared to the people who put up their hands to be mentors. So there was a power imbalance because there's many more mentees compared to the number of mentors. So the mentors are the one in the position to choose which mentee they work with. But at the same time, many mentors spoke about how time-consuming and pressured the process of choosing or selecting a mentee was. So some spoke about the emotional labor of being approached multiple times, and also the labor involved with multiple meetings, and then the emotional labor of needing to decline several people. And even when you have selected someone to work with, then they spoke about the number of in-kind hours required to prepare a joint application. Some people said that it took at least 10 hours of in-kind labor to prepare a joint application. And finally, many producers also raised cultural safety as an issue. I'll just move on to what people said about a potential group model. So I do want to credit Lyle Brooks, who's a regionally based producer, for being one of the first people to propose a group model initially. And then this proposal was echoed by producers either individually as well as across diverse groups throughout the consultation. So some of the benefits of group learning that producers expressed included the ability to work more collaboratively, where everyone brings their own set of expertise and lived experiences. A group model was also proposed as a way to strengthen networks between independent producers. A group model was also proposed as a way to create a more inclusive independent producing community. And this was especially important for people with intersectional identities and needs. And finally, a group model was proposed because it might relieve some of the pressure from the producers who are more frequently approached for advice or any other reason by emerging / mid-career producers. As in a group model, these queries could be responded to by a supportive group of producers. So with that in mind, I'll just move on to the next slide. The program goals for round 2 of the Producers Mentorship Program is still to, number 1, continue to achieve the Vipi aims and objectives to support independent producers and through them independent artists and companies in the performing arts based in Victoria. And number 2 is to build a strong community of independent producers who are supported as they remodel their independent producing practices in light of COVID-19. Now, I'm aware I've been speaking quite a lot, and we do have a few minutes though for any initial questions that some people might have before we might go into a 5-minute break. Are there any burning questions so far? Bear in mind, we might address some of those questions as we talk about the model for round 2. But if you did want to ask a question, now is the chance to do that. And you can unmute yourself, and if you don't mind just introducing your name and then asking your question. I'll just set aside a few minutes for that. Sumitra, did you want to say something? I noticed you're unmuted. Yep.
Yeah. Because I could not attend certain meetings. There was meetings with the mentors, and I could not attend because of certain situations in family. I still have to do that. And so I was asking whether it is possible now, after the second round, that we meet the different mentors and then we discuss our projects with them. My second question is that in meeting, do we have to discuss our future projects or ideas with them so that they can decide if they want to work with us or not?
Yeah, so Sumitra, I think this will be answered in the second part of this session. Yeah, because I will go into what is the application process, what are the conversations that you need to be having. And yeah, do you mind if we hold off on answering your question because it will be answered?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. So let's have a few minutes break. Why don't we come back at 1:30 p.m. And during this time, sorry, Simone, you want to say something?
There was another question that came up.
Yep.
I can't unmute you, sorry. If you want to just unmute yourself, Bao.
Who was it? Bao. Okay, hi Bao.
Hi, my name is Bao. I just see in your presentation that obviously COVID-19 is taken very seriously, but I just wanted to know, you as an organization, like how do you feel this will, like, my question is like, for how long should we consider this situation? Like, I don't know, I feel a lot of us are hoping that this is kind of like temporary and things, will go back to the work that we know. Or do you think we should be more proactive and actually just think differently? I don't know if it's that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think our approach with Vipi is an example of how we are proactively considering COVID in our long-term planning. Nicole, did you want to say anything? Because Bao's question was more about TNA maybe as an organization. Is that right, Bao?
Yeah, I mean that's the feeling I've got from your slides, but maybe that's also like a general opinion throughout the whole industry. So I'm open to every opinion.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm happy to do that, Rani.
Yes, just an
for
initial
1 minute.
response. Yeah.
I'm hesitant because I think we could take the whole time talking about COVID. So what I will say is that we think COVID has irreversibly affected the arts industry, and in fact we hope that it won't go back to what it was before. We think this is an opportunity for really good change, but we also think that there are going to be lots of bad impacts. But the arts industry will not be how it was before. That's our opinion at TNA. Yeah. So that will be factored into all of the work that we do in supporting you as artists and producers.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So let's have a couple of minutes. You can turn off your video, stretch, grab a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever you like. We'll come back at 1:35 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Okay. So next up, we'll be going into the model for round 2 of the Producers Mentorship Program. So who is this program for? So the Producers Mentorship Program suits people who already have some producing experience in the performing arts and want to be part of a group learning environment to explore new models of independent producing. Later on, I'll also be talking about how the group model is alongside one-on-one and small group learning as well. So it's ideal if you have already worked with at least one independent artist or collective or an independent company as a producer. Therefore, you have some producing experience that you are able to draw on to contribute to the group learning, and you are open to learning from other independent producers. If you're not sure if you have had independent producing experience, please refer to the FAQs or the frequently asked questions on the website, which we will visit later, where we give examples of the broad range of skills and experiences that might count as producing. I also just want to note that for First Peoples applicants, applications are encouraged from First Peoples who are living and working in Victoria, and at least one producer position for the mentorship program across rounds 2 and 3 are reserved for an applicant who is from a traditional owner group of Victoria. First Peoples mentees are also able to receive additional support from First Peoples mentors. So what is on offer? So participants will commit to a 12-month program from August 2020 to August 2021. Up to 8 individual independent producers will be selected. There will be bespoke relationships in pairs or in small groups, along with monthly group sessions with all participants. The monthly professional development topics and skills are co-designed with the selected participants. So these group sessions form the core learning unit, bespoke to the most urgent needs, skills, and conversations that the participants themselves have identified. The sessions will be taught, facilitated, or led by the participants in turn, as well as, when it's required, sourced from outside of the group of participants. So in addition to the monthly group sessions, participants work on their own projects with their artists in bespoke pairs or smaller groups autonomously. I also just want to note that some of the group sessions will be tailored to people of specific lived experiences. So for example, some sessions may only involve people living with disability, others may only involve people who have self-identified as people of color, just as examples. We will also be mindful of diverse learning styles, as well as neurodiversity in terms of people's ability to participate in a group learning environment. In terms of fees and commitment, time commitment. So how it works, which is similar to round 1 actually, participants will be employees of Theatre Network Australia. You are employed to work 2 days a week, or 0.4 equivalent full time. And you will receive $21,840 gross per annum as your part-time salary, which is the full-time equivalent of that is $54,600 per annum. Payments are made fortnightly in arrears, and on top of that, you will also get superannuation and work cover, which TNA will administer on your behalf. The time commitment expected is 8 days per month for a 12-month period, inclusive of the monthly group sessions. Now, in addition to these fees, you will also, as a participant, you would also receive mental health and internet stipends. So the mental health support that you will receive is at a rate of $100 per person per month for a 12-month period. You will also receive a monthly subsidy towards internet connection and data allowance, set at $40 per person per month for a 12-month period. Now, on a needs basis, you would also be able to access Vipi funds to support access and specialized skills or mentorships. So some access needs might be also an interpreting, essential equipment that you need to be able to participate, transport costs, and childcare, just a few examples. Some specialized skills or mentorships may include First Peoples mentoring support, support by disabled mentors, and so on. Some important dates to note for round 2. So the EOIs went live on Monday. They are open on the website, and they will be closing at midnight on the 15th of July. And then if you are shortlisted for an interview, the interviews will take place in the first week of August, between the 3rd and 7th of August. And then participants for round 2 are notified by mid-August. The application process, you apply as an individual, and you can indicate if you would prefer to be paired with a specific independent producer, but you do not need to put in a joint application anymore. If you do want to work with a specific independent producer, you can say that in your application. If there is a question that will ask, do you want to be paired with someone specific? And you can jot down their name. That person will also need to submit their own separate application. The application process involves 2 steps. So there's an online submission. We will look into that later when we go to the website. And for shortlisted applicants, there is an interview. Hello, everyone. If you can just turn on your video or do thumbs up to let me know you're back. Great. Awesome. Great, thank you.
Yeah. Rani?
Yes, Raf?
I'm just not too sure. My question is that with the 2 days a week working, are they going to be set days during the week, or are they going to change each week or each month?
We would leave that to each applicant to decide, because everyone's working situations is really different, Raf. So I would say that people would have control over how they want to spend that time.
Right, okay. Okay, sure. It's just that I've got a couple of things I need to do at certain days of the week. So that's
For
what it's
sure.
around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd want it, great, thanks, Raf. We'd want it to be workable for the applicant. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Welcome back. So I'm just going to share my screen again and head to the TNA website just to make it really clear where to find the application process and information about Vipi. So I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see the TNA website? Yes, I'm getting nods, great. So the easiest way to find the information is to, hang on a second, I'm having trouble with my, just bear with me, people. Okay. All right, so the easiest way to find the Vipi info is just to go to our website, and in the top right-hand corner, you'll see the search button there. So if you just put in Vipi, the first thing that comes up is the EOIs for round 2 of the mentorship program. So if you just click on that, it will take you straight to the application process. If you want to read up more on the mentorship program, a lot of the info we've covered today, but you can also click on the mentorship program link there. And this will take you through all the processes that we actually just covered in today's session. But I'll come back to the EOI page. So, hang on. On this page here, you'll see to apply, please go to the EOI page. So if you just click on that, this is what the EOI application page looks like. So for any support, you can contact me. Or for any additional support, you can also contact our general manager, Simone. You'll see the dates. And I just want to take you through the most important part of this page, which is the things to read before beginning your application. So that's the most important part of this page. Please make sure to read this before beginning your application. So firstly, the guidelines, if you just click on that one, it will automatically download a Word document. And I'm just going to open that Word document. Can everyone see the Word document? I've kind of lost you. I can't see you. Oh gosh. Where did you go? Hang on. I couldn't see if you can see the Word document. Were you able to see the Word document when I opened it? No, I didn't think so. Okay. Let me just, I have to share a different screen. So I'll just share that one. Can you see it now? Yes?
Yep.
Great, thank you. I can't see you when I'm in sharing screen mode. I can't see all of you anyway, so great. So a lot of this information is already what is on the website, but one thing I want to point out is in these guidelines, it tells you how your application will be assessed. So if you just keep scrolling down, try not to be too intimidated by all the stuff that is already actually on the website and what we've covered today. Scroll down to this page, which is page 4. which details the assessment process. So make sure that you read that part and make sure that you read the assessment criteria, which corresponds to the Vipi program aims and objectives. So that's the most important part of the guidelines. I'm going to stop sharing screen now and share a different screen. Bear with me, everyone. I'll go back to our website. Okay, great. So that's the first document. The second one is the application form. There are two versions there because you are able to apply in multiple ways. You can download the Word document and send the Word document to me. You can also download the Word document version, which is for Auslan video and audio applications. And then the sample work plan. So basically, in order to prepare your application, download these documents, prepare your answers, and then when you're ready, there are multiple ways you can submit your EOI, as you can see here. So you can do it on SurveyMonkey, which is if you're just doing it all in writing. You can also submit a video file, but you'll still need to submit some information on SurveyMonkey. You can also submit as an audio file, and again, you'll still need to submit some things on the SurveyMonkey. And then for deaf applicants, you are able to submit a video in Auslan by recording yourself in Auslan and then uploading your video. You'll still need to submit some written information on the SurveyMonkey. Okay, so the last thing I'll show you on the website is, if we go back to, let's see here, if we just go back to the search button and type in Vipi again and Vipi FAQ, it comes up with the general Vipi FAQs here. So there are frequently asked questions to do with Vipi as a whole program. And then if you go back to the main FAQs page, make sure to select Vipi, basically, and it takes you all the way there. So on this Vipi page, if you scroll all the way down, is where you will see the various buttons to do with specific parts of Vipi. And there's the frequently asked questions in the bottom left corner there. You click on that, that's where you can see there's the general questions, and then there are questions specific to the mentorship program. And we've updated this as of Monday, so it will relate to round 2 of the mentorship program. Great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we have plenty of time now for some questions from all of you. I will just ask, if you are going to ask a question, firstly, you obviously need to unmute yourself and then introduce your name and then ask the question. But we have plenty of time. We have more than half an hour. I'll hand it over to all of you.
Okay. Now, Rani, with the actual application.
Yeah. Raf, sorry, Raf. Just make sure to say who you are.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, my name's Raf. Now,
Thanks.
with the actual application, does that have to be filled in one hit, or can it be saved and go back to it?
Yeah, unfortunately on SurveyMonkey, you can't save as you go, Raf. So that's why I would recommend that you download the Word version of the questions. You prepare and save it in the Word document. And then when you're ready, you can either send me straight the Word document by email, Raf, or you can copy and paste into the SurveyMonkey.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, Raf.
My name is Eva, and you probably know what I'm going to ask you, but is this available for me to work with a mentor from interstate?
Yeah, so that's where I'm aware in some of the conversations with disabled producers and artists, Eva, I'm aware that there are some specialized mentoring skills that are required for obvious reasons. So that's where you can put in your application that you want to access that specialized mentorship skills.
Right, thank you.
No worries, Eva.
So I have a couple of questions. I'm Tiara.
Yeah, thanks, Tiara. Yeah.
The first question is, you mentioned earlier about part of the program being working on your producing projects with your artists. how confirmed do you need this to be when you apply? Or is it okay to apply now if you're not entirely sure you will necessarily have independent artists to produce yet? And also the second question is, because you mentioned being able to indicate if you want to be paired with somebody specific, is there a way to also flag if you absolutely do not want to be paired with somebody because of prior safety issues?
Absolutely, yeah. Can I just ask Simone, Nick, or Nicole to jot down these questions? You might be already doing that. Yeah, because I'll update the FAQs if that's all right. The first question was if you don't have artists confirmed. Actually, Tiara, a lot of people's practices at the moment, from what I gathered from the consultation, is really up in the air. So I would say, I would recommend just put in the best application that you can, including the artists that you are intending to work with. And you know, again, if you are shortlisted, we can unpack that a bit more in terms of what are the different scenarios and what is the best way to support you. But I feel like in your case, I think you do have some existing relationships and at least initial conversations. So I would still put in an application saying that these are the people that you are already in touch with. Does that make sense? Yeah. And with the second question, absolutely. If you would like to indicate who you do not want to work with, absolutely. And as I said in the earlier top level findings of the consultation, cultural safety, just safety in general, has been brought up several times throughout the consultation. So yes, you can make that really, really clear. Any other questions?
Hi, over here virtually, it's Jonathan.
Hi, Johnny.
Feels very silly to wave. Hope everyone's doing well. My name's Johnny. I'm wearing a orange jumper and I have bright red hair and a dirty, oily face that needs to be exfoliated. I am just wondering, I know for myself, my August is really flat tack. So if my August is already full and I know I can't commit to 0.4, do I basically just need to wait till round 3? And if so, when are those round 3 dates going to be announced?
So we are doing, that's a really great question. We are doing 2 rounds this year. So this is the second round, obviously, and then 1 more round in early 2021. In terms of your ability to commit to 2 days a week, again, you know, the same way that we rolled out round 1, we always try to make it really flexible to how people wanted to use those hours. So I would say it is important to be able to commit to those hours at some point. If you don't, you know, it's understandable that you already have some plans because August is literally around the corner, but we would need you to commit to those hours at some point would be my sense of that. Nicole, did you have anything to add, or Simone? Yep.
Yeah, my name's Simone and I'm the General Manager at TNA. So it's great to see you all here and I'm happy to answer questions as well after this. If Rani's not around. In terms of time commitment, the only real solid locked in one would be your group sessions, and the dates and times of those are determined by the group that is selected. All the other dates and times and working hours are just cumulative and a total for which you get remunerated for. But we understand the workflows change for individual producers and projects and things like that. So yeah, just the group sessions are the hard ones that are locked in advance. Thanks.
Thank you, TNA staff. Always amazing and super clear. So thank you to all of you.
Thanks, Johnny. Any other questions? Claire, I see your hand up. Claire, and then Jen. Yep, Claire and Jen. Yep. Claire, go ahead. I think you need to unmute, so hang on. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Rani. Yeah, Claire Mendes, Melbourne Writers Theatre. My question is, do you have a list of producers available for us to look at in terms of thinking about who we might like to pair up with? Is it to our benefit to partner with producers you have ready for us, or should we go out and find someone, or what is the best approach? Or just to, if we were successful, will we just wait for TNA to send us someone? Or
No, so firstly, we launched the TNA Independent Producers Database in January, Claire.
Mhm.
And could someone, maybe I can send that in the follow-up email, but it's also on our website. If you look up the Independent Producers Database.
Okay.
Cool, see you, Lucy. And like I said earlier, you don't have to be paired with someone for this round. We have remodeled that based on the feedback that we received. So you don't have to be paired, and it doesn't have to be someone that is in that database. We didn't, what you call it? People can add themselves to that database as they see fit. What is really important is that because this is for independent producers, you do have to make a really strong case that your practice is independent producing in support of other independent artists or independent collectives or independent companies. So that's the one thing that I will keep banging on about. We've been banging on about it for 9 months. It's not for self-producing artists. This program is for independent producers who support other artists, collectives, or companies. So that's the strongest thing that you make a strong case for. Does that make sense, Claire?
Yes, thank you very much. Great.
No worries. And Jen and then Taka-san. Sorry, I think I missed your hand earlier, Taka-san. So Jen and then Taka-san.
Yes, so my name's Jen Gay. I'm from Packed House Productions. Rani, I'm just a little bit unclear with the mentors having to apply separately. Is the process and the involvement of the mentor still the same as it was in previous rounds?
So what we heard during the consultation, Jen, was that the previous round, the mentoring fee was really nominal. It was really quite small because the assumption was that the mentors would have, income coming in, whether from non-independent work or from the independent work. But what's happened with COVID is that, as I said earlier, it's decimated a lot of independent producing businesses. As I can see from your face, that's a very familiar situation. So what we're trying to do with this model is we tweak the budget to try and make sure that, which is why there's a flat fee now, because it's trying to make sure that it enables everyone, no matter their independent producing practice, to be able to participate fully in the program. Because again, some of the feedback we received from people who put up their hand as mentors was the fee was too, for lack of a better word, it was too small for them to be able to spend much time with their mentees anyway. And so people were experiencing a lot of pressure in terms of how to best allocate that limited amount of funds and that limited amount of time with their mentees. So our hope, our intention with this program model is it enables a fuller participation across the board. Does that make sense, Jen?
Yes, so basically you would be the same conditions as you outlined earlier for the mentees is the same for the mentors now.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. That's a great improvement.
Oh, nice to hear. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, so
Ronnie,
it's 2 days a week.
Raf's had his hand up for a little while.
Okay, great. Thank you. 2 days a week time commitment for a 12-month period. So I'm aware it was Taka-san and then Raf. Taka-san, yep.
Oh, hello, my name is Taka Kenken. Okay, I've got a couple questions. And do you actually have a constellation around the selection, the ratio of the mentee and mentor balance? So you're going to have 4 mentors and 4 mentees, or in this round there's no such things of the mentors and mentees, or how does actually work?
Taka-san, sorry, I'm having trouble hearing some of you, but I think it was a question around the ratio of mentors versus mentees. Okay, so this is the first time that we're doing this, so there are some things that I don't feel like I can say definitively, right? But it would seem logical for there to be a spread across experiences. So there's a diversity of experiences in terms of how long people have been practicing as independent producers, and then also a diversity of experiences in terms of the context that people are working in. But to be honest, Taka-san, until we see who applies and until that is passed on to the panelists, I don't want to say definitively what the group will be made up of. Does that make sense? Because it's the first time we're trying this. What makes sense is a diversity of experiences, both in terms of independent producing practice as well as lived experiences, to get to make the most of group learning environment as well as the bespoke one-on-one. So it really depends on who applies in terms of what the possibilities are. Simone and Nicole, did you want to add anything to that?
I just wanted to add that we're also acknowledging the different experience. It's not just about producing experience, but possibly lived experience. So there is no clear delineation anymore of mentor and mentee. It's that everyone brings something to offer and we're all going to learn collectively to move forward, I guess.
Thanks, Simone. Raf, you had a question?
I sure do. No, my name's Raf. Now, Rani, with one of the group sessions, is there going to be a possibility of COVID-19 or social distance restrictions module, how that might work in practice?
Sorry, Tiara, I see your hand. Yeah, so if you go to the EOY page, Raf, and if you download the sample work plan, this is one of the questions that we've tried to address, where the new work plan actually sets out what you want to work on individually and or in your small groups, and what you want to work on in your group sessions. So it's trying to get a pulse check on what is the most important skills, conversations, topics that we need to cover right now. And we have indicated in there, maybe these are some of the questions that you might want to grapple with as an independent producer, including what are some the latest COVID-19 related updates from, for example, from presenters or from festivals. What are new ways of working as an independent producer with independent artists during a global pandemic? So at least some of the group sessions, I would imagine, would respond to COVID-19 because it is the most, well, it's one of the layers of, most urgent context that we're responding to right now. So yes, I would imagine some of them would have to do with COVID. But again, I'm not here to say what is the most urgent thing though. So that's not the
way which I would have had the question was actually intended. It's actually from a practical perspective. Let's say from, following paperwork with it. Let's say if there's, as an independent producer, I've got 20 people there, it's actually about complying with legislation that may come into place about who is the actual audience, how to get in contact with them. So if people want to get notified, it is not from a practice of going through what actually happens with the actual artist. It's actually going to be, I think it would be more along the lines of a specialized module that events now are actually having to go through and take the recording of who is actually there and how to get in contact with people. Yeah, that's the actual question.
Yeah, no, sorry, Raf, for not answering your question well. But yes, I think you're on the right track there in terms of that being one of the potential group sessions, because it is so relevant and so urgent to know how to best, I suppose, set up the environment for your audiences during COVID-19. So yes, I think you're on the right track there. And in fact, I would put that in your work plan as a session that you're suggesting that the group does.
And the format of the group sessions, we don't know what that will take yet, given where we're at. So whether that is Zoom like we're doing today, or whether that's in person, or what location that's at, are still options.
Yeah, I mean, it is 8 people. So I feel like it's doable, compared to 50 people that are here today. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll make something work. Tiara?
Yes, so I'm Tiara again. When the 2 days a week that are not the workshop days, what are you anticipating we be working on?
I feel like similar to round 1, that is really case by case, Tiara. So some people are having ongoing conversations with their artists. Some people are having ongoing conversations with international presenters in spite of, the travel restrictions. So I feel like it's case by case. Maybe some people are doing research projects to do with, to try and feed into the model of independent producing that they want to trial throughout the 12 months.
So are we like sending you guys a report every week to make sure we're doing something? Like how does that kind of get accounted for?
I think the idea with the work plan is to give a sense of what you are trying to achieve throughout the 12 months. So there will be regular check-ins with TNA throughout the 12 months, but we're not here to babysit anyone or to, you know, overly monitor or overly police people's work. So this model will really only work if everyone embraces it with the spirit of autonomy and group learning. Does that make sense, Tiara? Yeah.
We do not need you to start work at 9 o'clock on Monday till 5 o'clock on Tuesday, and that's your 2 days a week for that week. It's not like that. It's meant to support you in your independent producing practice. So whatever form that takes. And the other thing, sorry, I was just going to say, Tiara, was that the other thing you could be doing in this 2 days a week is some of that more intense one-on-one work with a mentor or with a small group, separate to the collective of 8 coming together.
Yes, thanks, Simone. I did see Raf's hand up, but I just want to make sure if other people who haven't asked the question, Marcia, yep, and James. Yep.
Is there one mentor to 8 mentees?
No, no, Marcia. It's so you apply as an individual, and if you want to be paired with someone specific, you can indicate that, and then the 2 of you will be 2 participants out of 8. But you're not mentoring. You know, you're not one individual mentoring 8 people. No, the idea is that it's a supportive group environment that shares skills and experiences as required, as needed. And throughout the 12 months, if other one-on-one relationships or other small groups want to get together because it turns out you have similar interests or an area that you want to look into it together, that can organically evolve as well and be part of the 2 days a week work.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. James and then Sumitra. Yep.
Hi everyone, can you hear me first of all?
Yep.
Fantastic. Hi everyone, my name's James. I just had some questions about the mentors. Just firstly, the prerequisites for a mentor. So for instance, I have a few people that I'd like to work with who are quite established and have full-time jobs in arts, but then also work part-time as an independent producer themselves. I want to know if that's my first question, if they're eligible to be a mentor.
Yeah, great question. And we also had this asked during round 1 as well. So thanks, James. So Vipi is entirely for independent producers. You cannot be working full-time and be eligible for the funded streams of Vipi. You could be working full-time and come along to a salon session, but the priority is to support independent producers. I absolutely appreciate that they are doing independent producing in addition to full-time work, but maybe the priority is to really support independent producers because there's literally no other program like Vipi, actually. So maybe in your case, James, maybe you can make a case for why it's a specialized mentoring that you require every now and then, but they would not be eligible to be a full participant of this program.
Sure.
Can I make a point, Rani? It's Nicole again.
Yes. Yep.
Which is just to make it really clear that who you choose to have as mentors, if you are a part of this program, is up to you. And they can be whoever. That's just a part of the ongoing networking and professional development that you all do. So just make sure that you understand that this shift to the program is quite substantial. So there aren't really mentors and mentees anymore. There are 8 people who will be supported with a variety of experience, and you will be supporting each other. That's the point of it as a group. But also, you might also then get some other mentoring outside. So for you, James, absolutely, if you were a participant, one of the participants, one of the 8, and on the payment and everything, you can still access that person's expertise.
Of course. And the 8 people, is that including the mentees and mentors, or is that 8 people in the group just the mentees?
No, Leo.
Shall I say it?
You
I'll
say
say it my way and then you say it your way, because that's the big shift. So the big shift is there's not really mentors and mentees anymore. The big shift is that you are working as a group and you're mentoring each other.
Yeah.
So you don't apply as a mentor or a mentee.
You apply as an independent producer.
Oh, okay. Sure. That makes more sense, because I think the research I did was about round 1. So it's changed.
That's right.
Exactly. That's why we thought it's really important to have this session, because it's very different. It's quite a shift. Sorry, back to you, Rani.
No, that's okay. I'll just reinforce what you said, Nicole, which is this came out of the consultation, James, where quite a few people spoke about, I think I mentioned power dynamics earlier, in terms of the assumption of the hierarchy between mentor and mentee, when actually people across a diversity of independent producing experience, but also lived experiences, have their own set of expertise to bring to any relationship. So yes, it's doing away with mentors and mentees, acknowledging the variety and the breadth of expertise out of respect for everyone, but very much it's, respecting everyone's expertise, basically. I will just say, if you do want to get work with someone, it sounds like you have some people in mind. Again, with Vipi, the priority is to support Victorian-based independent producers. So just keep that in mind. I had someone say, sorry, there was Sumitra, and then there was someone
Sophie.
else.
Sophie has her hand up.
Great. So Sumitra, yep.
Yeah, now as James asked the question, it adds in my question as well. So now I was thinking whether my first question was if we can pick more than one mentors. Now because now no one is mentor or mentees, will be working as a team, all of us. So now can I pick mentees as well to work with, to get some more experience, to work with them, to add variety in my experience?
Sumitra, because the application is now as you as an individual,
yeah,
I would focus on what it is that you bring as an independent producer already. You could indicate that in the application, but I highly doubt that it would be like you were applying as a trio, and you're taking up 3 out of 8 spots.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's kind of like, I would just focus on you as an individual applicant, as an independent producer.
Okay, so I don't have to choose any mentor or anyone at all. Okay,
no,
perfect.
No, you don't.
Yeah, okay.
Again, and that was out of the feedback that we got from both mentors and mentees about how pressured that process was to put in a joint application.
Yeah.
So we're now trying this new process.
Okay, that clarifies. Thank you. In fact, that's a good way. Now I feel free of any stress. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, good, that was done.
It's so hard to pick and choose. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Sophie, aka Jennifer. Yep.
Yes. Cool. So my performer name is Sophie Delightful. That's just what's on my Zoom already, so I didn't change it. And I did get kicked off for about 10 minutes because my Zoom, this was addressed at that time. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Jennifer,
hello?
Sorry, maybe turn off your video because
Okay, cool. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. The reception is not very good here. I was just saying I was kicked off for about 10 minutes when my phone had a moment, and so I'm not sure if this was addressed, but there's been talk of, I saw in an earlier slide there was 30 plus people that were involved in the last round, and then there's 8 people who are going to be involved in the upcoming round, which seems to be a I'm just, can you clarify that the shift in numbers, please?
Yeah, it wasn't 30 people involved in the last round, Jennifer. It was 30 people that we consulted with.
Right. So, so the actual number of mentors and mentees hasn't changed that much. You're still sort of selecting the same approximate number from the pool of people who apply?
Actually, yes, because during round 1, there are 8 people involved in round 1 in terms of all the mentors and mentees, and then in round 2 it will be 8 independent producers. But
okay, cool.
We've anyway, I think that answers it.
Yeah, because I was just, it sounded like it was like a huge shift from servicing sort of a lot of people to a little people, but I guess it's just going to be as competitive as the first round, I guess.
30, Sophie, just to be really clear, we consulted with more than 30 independent producers because of COVID. So we wanted to hear from people about the impact that COVID has had on them, and therefore what we need to keep in mind with the program design for round 2. That was the 30 number. We are not employing 30 people. That was not what happened. It was just we consulted with 30 people.
Yeah, that makes it more clear. Thanks so much.
Great, no worries. Can people remind me who was it that was next? Okay, I think that was everyone. So Raf, if you want to ask another question, did you have another one?
Yeah, my name's Raf. I do have another question. Oh, I've actually got several questions. The first one is that I know this is like the theatre network, and it covers a lot of different arts. I think we've had this conversation a couple of times, right? But I really want to clarify with the guidelines. With my creative practice, it does cover a lot of different areas. The question really is, there's a lot of transferable skills which would be very, very useful to it, but is there direct producing experience, not as you did fall under the guidelines originally with the round 1 applications? Because
I'm not sure I understand the question. Sorry, Raf.
Okay, I'll give you a quick. I'll give you a concrete example. Let's take Mojo Film Festival example. We've had this conversation a number of times. It is theatre, not film, which I actually understand that. On the other hand, the transferable skills from helping produce Mojo Film Festival are equally, if not more important, to actually come into a theatre performance, whether it's, let's say, an art exhibition, a play, or a music group, etc., etc. Because
Nicole, did you have something to say? Yep.
If you want me to.
Let me just give my initial thoughts, I think, in terms of the,
Only if you want in terms of the,
So again, Raf, Vipi is focused on supporting independent producers in performing arts. So actually during the last round, we did have some people who have more experience in other artistic fields. But still, the strongest parts of their applications were when they were able to talk about the performing arts experiences. So I totally understand, you know, you are a jack of all trades, but you need to be able to talk about how you, as an independent producer, you are supporting independent performing artists. So, and that's really broadly defined in terms of theater, dance, live art, circus, puppetry, spoken word. It's really broad, but we cannot make it any broader because otherwise, you know, this program it's just too much in terms of the scope of Vipi. So just try to talk to the performing arts elements of what you want to do if you were a participant. Nicole, did you want to have anything to add there?
Oh, I think you did a good job, but just, yes, just to confirm that the gaps that were identified when the whole program was designed was in the performing arts. So we know that there are needs in all other art forms and in film and in visual arts as well. But because the particular gap that we have been contracted to fill is in the performing arts, that's why we need to focus on that.
Nicole and Rani, is that I'm going to be looking a little bit pedantic about this question, is that I didn't say that's where, Victoria, I totally understand what the Vipi is saying here. What I'm actually saying is that based on my previous experience where it comes down to the transferable skills, now, some of those independent producing skills would not have come into play. It was because I got basically mentoring in other industries, such as film, to actually put those into place to make successful events at a local level.
So you can talk to that, Raf.
So the question really is that the experiences that I did actually have there, it actually is how those transferable experiences are transferable to the actual live performances and under the scope of Vicky, as opposed to saying, like, film is a completely separate area, as is, let's say, radio as well, too.
Yeah. So what I would recommend, Raf, is to talk to those transferable skills in your application. You can make an argument for that, you know, these are some skills that you have gained from other industries that you are hoping to then expand on or keep building on if you were to be selected as a independent producer for this program.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm available for more chats as well, Raf, you know, specific to your situation as well.
Okay.
I'm aware of time, so I am just going to wrap us up. Just a few things that we'll be doing to follow up after this session. So
there was one question, Rani, that came through the chat. Did you see that? Just, I think it's because Sophie's email or microphone isn't working. It was, will Vipi consider anyone who was successful in a previous round?
So not if you're a mentee in the previous round, because you're receiving quite a substantial amount of support through Vipi already. But if you were a mentor in the previous round, again, because you were only given a nominal fee during a previous round, then we would consider for round 2. Great. Okay, so we will be uploading the video, the recording from today on our website, along with a transcript. And I'll be sending out the PowerPoint slides to all of you after this meeting. I'm also, just to reiterate, I'm available for more chats on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays if you want more support for your application and have any other questions. And finally, let's just do a thank you to our on-site interpreters, Susan and Kylie. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. It's really lovely to see all your faces.